Great, great.
Yep. I'm ready to roll. Shake, rattle, and roll.
Okay.
Civil,
all right.
Military law versus civil law. Let me start out today, Bev, and try and explain the importance of the 14th Amendment.
Okay.
I've been talking about it for 3 days or more, and people just don't.
Message is received from QQQBJ.
Yes, they just don't seem to get it. So, what I want to do. So, what I want to do is kind of explain the importance of it. Everything that's happening to us, they're doing it because we are 14th Amendment citizens. And I'll just say as a startup that the difference between the two, 14th Amendment, which is public, and indigenous Native American, which is private, the difference is Native American private citizen has rights, R-I-G-H-T, and the 14th Amendment citizen has privileges. You have to understand that. They get away with privileges because you are a subject to the corporation. A better word for subject is slave. And you don't want to hear that word because you think about old Black Joe in the cotton fields, and the first thing you're going to say is, I'm not a slave. Well, I'm going to tell you for your own good, not only are you a slave, you are ignorant to the fact that you're not free because you don't own anything. You come in the world in debt, and you're going to go out in debt because they, the slave masters, the owners of the plantation, owns you and everything you have. And they can create laws at will. To take money from you anytime they get ready. And if you don't understand what they're doing, all you can do is what you've been doing, and that's complaining, crying, and then struggling at the last minute trying to get somebody to help you. So what we're going to do today, I want to talk about the civilian law versus military law. Now, you've heard me go into the Constitution, the second Constitution, or the corporate Constitution, which came into effect in 1871. Okay? In order to give the second Constitution power, they had to have a military force behind it. And that's when they instituted in 1863, if I got my dates correct, the Liber Code. If you take time out and read the Liber Code, it will frighten you to death. And they say it's under the military portion of the Constitution. So they have a right to do to you anything they want to do to you as long as they stay in a military mode. Now, let's talk about the military mode. Most of you saw the ships in old sword fighting movies. Earl Flynn and I can't call them all fast enough. Earl Flynn was my main man at one time. Sword fighting. All of those types of ships had flags on them. Every ship on the water today has flags on them. The flag represents the government as to whence they came. And that flag tells them more, because I'm not a student of military, not military flags, of constitutional flags, but it tells those that know what the country is totally about. A friendly country, a hostile country, a military country, a dictatorship, all of that's in the flag, the way they set those flags up. As long as you have been living, as long as your mother, father, grandfather, great-grandfather, great-mother, great-grandmother, all of them, as long as they've been on this earth, United States of America, Inc., ever since 1871, has flown the military flag. Red, white, and blue, stars and stripes forever, All of that is nothing more than a military flag. If you think I'm kidding you, put in Google military flag and see if it don't come up.
Now,
Once
what
you
about
do
when we
that-
go into the courtrooms, Ryan? We going into a military courtroom?
Yes. If it's got fringes, if it's got stripes, if it's got stars, the base of it is 13 stripes and 50 stars. No matter what it's in, it's a military or jurisdiction. Military jurisdiction. And they have to stay in that mode because they don't have a vital constitution. They defunct the Constitution when they told the lie of Sine Die. And I call it a lie, but they say it was caused because Congress walked out in 1861, walked out February, I think it was, 1861. They walked out of Congress. And Robert's Rules of Order that I told you about, I know you didn't do any research, but what they call the parliamentary procedure of the United States Congress, they use Robert's Rules of Order. And Robert's Rules of Order says if you walk out of a meeting or lose your quorum and fail to adjourn or fail to set a new meeting for the future, your body goes defunct, meaning it doesn't exist anymore. The United States set that up. We don't really know what happened with Lincoln in 1861, 63, 65. We don't really know. They use historical revisionism to create a story to make it look like what they're doing is real and honest. But we're dealing with nothing but crooks, every one of them, including Obama. Every one of them are treacherous traitors, should be tried for treason, should be shot at sundown. Every one of them. There's all congressmen, all senators, all presidents, all elected officials to the United States of Washington, D.C. should be shot at sundown. No ifs, ands, or buts. Now, here we are.
Is that why, Ron, is that why we stay in war? We always have a war going on?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. We cannot exist because they definitely don't want to go back to the original Constitution, because if they do, I have and I think I'll put it on my website. I have a article, part 1 and part 2, and I think it's called "The Bankruptcy of United States" by the Moors. It's a beautiful 2-part presentation to explain to you that the United States government borrowed over $25 million of gold. I don't know how you would say it. $25 million in gold they borrowed from the Moorish nation back from Lincoln. That's why one of the reasons they killed Lincoln, because they wanted Lincoln to borrow from the international banksters, and he went to the small banks of the era and borrowed money to fight the Civil War. Well, they got rid of him. Well, the Moors gave up $25 million in gold. Now, you can't even figure out how much that is today. You can't even put it in too many zeros. Let's put it that way. They have proof that they owe the money to the Moorish nation. This article that I'm telling you about, and I'll look it up so you can go Google it yourself when we take our break. It talks about the Moors, the bankruptcy of United States. I have the copies. I can email it to you, but I want you, and I'm tired of doing a lot of work for you. Everyone needs to free themselves. I cannot free you. You need to free yourself. I'll bring you the information, and then you do your research. And then we can discuss it on an intelligent level rather than me dictating and coming at you like I'm teaching every time I come on the air. Okay, so now here we are, caught up in this hocus-pocus trick bag, have no idea what's happening to us. We are experiencing murder in the first degree against black males. No one can deny that. No one can deny that. And do not think that it just started in the last, since Ferguson. That's the biggest mistake you could ever make. They have been killing our males ever since 1871. They've been looting, burning, putting them in prison. I know you heard about one of the latest cases. That damn prosecutor admitted that he fixed the case on a young brother. And he did 31 years on death row. 31 years on death row. During that period, he was pleading for a new trial. 2013, he submitted one of his final pleas or appeals. And in 2014, the United States Supreme Court granted him a new trial. I told the state to give him a new trial. Do you know the day they said that, the prosecutor dropped all charges and opened up his cell and told him to go home? Think about that for a minute. 31 years on death row. He did a lot of smoking. I understand now he's collapsed. He collapsed because cancer. I don't want to go into details on it, but they didn't treat him right. So cancer has set in on him, and he's on his deathbed, they say. And I know they're going to try to kill him because they don't want that to come up. And then they're going to go into what I call the poor man rate and let the family sue, give them $3 million, and everybody live happily ever after. We are living in a world of nothing but total chaos. That's one case. There's another case in Baltimore. A young brother was walking down the street. Cops pulled up alongside, gave him a slow roll. He took off running. We don't know why he ran. Nobody knows why he ran. Today, they don't know. Those cops chased him, jumped out, beat him unmercifully, broke his neck, his back, his arms, left him laying on the ground handcuffed, and he died on the way to the hospital. I just saw where the people of Baltimore is in the street. The black female mayor is up in arms against it. What is going on? And let's not say white police. Let's say the police department, because the blackies, I don't feel sorry for them because they took the oath just like the rest of them did. And if they open their mouths or go against it, severe circumstances will come to them. Let's put it that way. So if they have any heart, they ought to be looking for another job. Don't tell me about the oath they took and what they got to do. Because nobody has talked about when that white cop shot that brother with that taser and then shot him in the back as he ran away. Nobody's mentioned the fact that the first police officer on the scene that helped him turn the man over was a black man, a black police officer. He wrote the report just like the rest of them. A good homicide, a good killing, a good murder. That the man refused, he was resist, all kind of lies until that camera came out and told it. We are in a world of nothing but complete chaos. And if you don't understand what's happening to you, and I'm going back to the root, we're talking about military law versus civilian law or civil law. Military law versus civil law. Military law is nothing but kangaroo court. You experience it in Michigan every day in Detroit when you go to 36th District Court. They don't have to have military people in there with uniforms and stuff. They treat those courts the way they want to treat them. They make up rules and regulations when they want to. They let certain people off and they put certain people in jail. This is what I mean by you don't have any rights if you are a 14th Amendment citizen. There is no right. They have a right to kill you. I'll say it that way. Maybe I can get your attention when I say that. They have a right to kill you. And the hell with you. They have a right to stand over you with a gun and say, I made a mistake. I thought I pulled out my laser, and I shot him in the back, laying on the ground, handcuffed, and he shot him with his police weapon. Oh, I'm sorry, he said.
And now he on vacation in the island somewhere.
Yes, yes. Who ever heard of that? One thing they should have done was took his passport and took all of his travel away from him. But we're back to what I just said. Privileges and benefits versus rights. Now, if you had done it, or someone black had done it, or some undesirable had done it, they would have locked him up because they take his privileges away. Can't y'all see that? That bastard that killed that boy, 73-year-old, he should be locked up somewhere until the trial, at least. At least. But no, he's on a vacation, laying on an island somewhere. Come on. But again, we're talking privileges and benefits versus rights. Now, right here in Detroit, when they opened up the Hart Plaza down there, they used to have those banquets down there every weekend. I think it was, Bev. You recall when they had
about Hart Plaza.
Hart Plaza, yes. What I call it? Did I call it something else?
Oh no, you might have called it Hart Plaza.
Okay. Well, what I want to bring up, my son and his cohorts. He was 30 years old at the time. He was so upset because every time there's a black event, they bring buses, paddy wagons, motorcycles up and line them up on the street to lock up black people for any violation. Any violation. The following week, they have a holdout with Europeans, hillbillies, redneck, peckerwoods, all over the place. Not only do they break the law, they urinate on the street. They drink beer, open beer. Police says nothing. So my son attacked me. What the hell is going on, Dad? I said, privileges and benefits versus rights. You don't have rights. They don't recognize your rights. They recognize the Europeans. And if one of them was undesirable, they would have threw them in jail like everybody else. Yes. When you go to court, traffic court, you see the cops make a mistake. The cops got a light out. I remember I had a case like that. I said, now why would I want to stop when a one-eyed car is following me? Well, you should have known it was the police. How the hell I know that? And when they found out his light was out, they finally said, well, we'll just dismiss the case. Well, you should have did that in the beginning. Why would I want to stop with a one-eyed light following me? He just followed me. He ain't going to turn on no siren or nothing. So then when he got ready, now he's going to charge me with trying to get away and all kind of crazy stuff. You know what I mean? We're back to public citizens versus private citizens. Now, what is the power in being private? We have a plan that's working, and it starts with your birth certificate. If you go to my website, ronmarch.com, go to the top, go across, find blog, L-O-G. You can go down and read those articles. I'm going to add some new ones tomorrow and the next day. You need to read those articles. It tells you about the power of the birth certificate. Now, once you get your birth certificate back from the state, also back from the Secretary of State in Washington, not Washington, D.C., but it's in Washington, D.C., known as Sterling, Virginia. Now you need to do a affidavit. Nothing in law is truth unless it's written. Anything oral, they can deny it. You've heard people say 1,000 times, that judge knew that cop was wrong. No, he didn't. Didn't care if he was wrong. You didn't bring it up in court. You didn't put it in your paperwork that the cop was wrong. You didn't do none of that. So why would he take your word for it? He can't. He's running a bank. and that, or better yet, he's running a casino, and he wants to win every case. That's what it's about. The judge is the banker. The court is the bank. They are there to make money. You come in as a public citizen, you don't have any rights. None. I got my Constitution. Some judge will tell you, if you bring up that Constitution again, I'm going to hold you for contempt. Why would he do that? Because you have nothing to do with the Constitution, especially the second one, and you're not even in the first one, but there are two laws in the first one that you can use if you know how to use them. I told you those two laws. One of them is the Sixth Amendment, when it says the United States must honor all treaties, all debt contracts and arrangements and agreements that were made prior to the Constitution of the United States. That law, that article you can use. The second one is Article 3 of the Bill of Rights, when they say you have your rights in the third Article 3 court. And you got to know how to create Article 3 court. But since we don't read and we wait on people like Ron Marsh, Jonah Bey, Yusuf El, and different brothers that come on the air and run this madness, then you forget, you don't do any work, you don't do any research. I love to tell you, everything I've told you up to this point is a damn lie, a damn lie. So quit calling me. Yeah, quit calling me until you look it up and see if I'm telling you the truth. We have to get out of that ignorant mode of failing to read. Now, any questions, Bev?
We have a caller. You want to take a
Come
call?
on with it. Yes.
Okay,
yes.
Area code 770-803.
Well, Mr. March, how are you doing today, sir? It's Sarge again. Are you ready to go around with me, or do you want me to leave?
No. I do not want to go around with you, but I want to hear what you got to say. Because remember what I told you. I do not. Wait a minute. I do not want to change you. I don't want to change you. So let's hear what you got.
Sir, you cannot, based upon what you have said, you cannot change me. What you have said is not compelling enough. However,
all right,
I would like to respond to some of the things that you said.
All right, go ahead.
And that is,
right.
you were describing what you allege, and which very well may be, instances of judicial corruption, and then you try to ascribe that as a form of military law. It is a non sequitur, sir. It does not follow. Military law are laws that are organized for the governance of members of the armed forces. That's all it means. Martial law is the imposition of military law to substitute for the normal legislative executive bodies, particularly in times of dysfunction, as during riot, rebellion, and war. So, I mean, I'm trying to understand how you're conflating all of these terms.
You want me to reply to that?
Well, yeah, I'd like an explanation as to how it is you're conflating military law, martial law, and civil law.
Okay. Your lower courts are ran with the rules of military law. They don't have court-martials and all the things you just mentioned. They have a
Well, they
captain.
can't be military law.
Hey. If you're going to talk with me, I gave you the floor, so just be quiet till I finish, and then I'll give it back to you. We both can't talk at the same time. Now, if you got something to say,
yes,
say it. Well, go ahead and say it.
All right, well, again, you cannot have military law without court-martial authority. It's not possible. The very meaning of military law involves court-martial authority. I mean, there are certain offenses in military law that do not exist in civil law. Insubordination, absenting yourself from your post, desertion, and the like. Those offenses cannot exist in civilian life as long as we have a Constitution with a Bill of Rights. But if you're subject to the Uniform Code of Military Justice, meaning you're subject to military law, those offenses can and do apply to you, and only to you if you're a member or person that is subject to the Uniform Code of Military Justice.
Are you finished?
For now, yes, sir.
Are you finished? All right. I totally agree with everything you said.
All I would like to be able to respond to you based on what you say.
But I haven't said anything yet. That's the last time I'm
waiting.
Give you your
I'm waiting.
to speak.
I'm eagerly
and then when I open my mouth,
to
you come to rebuttal what I haven't said yet. So we're going to try. This is the last time. But if he does it again, cut him off. I'm not going to talk with him. I'm not going to sit up here and argue with him. All I'm trying to say is, and what I'm going to say is, everything you've said about military law is totally correct. I'm telling you that the civilian courts, the lower civilian courts, operate under the guise of military law because we have been under war powers ever since 1871. And they were reissued again in 1933. We have all lived under war powers. Now, I'm not going to pick up the uniform whatever they call it, military code, and tell you that this is what I'm talking about. No, I'm telling you that these courts do what they want to do when they want to do it. They run that flag, which is a military flag. United States red, white, and blue is a military flag, and they dictate in court whatever they want to do. They pass out privileges and benefits to those that they like, and others they put them in jail and prison for life, or whatever the case may be. Now, there's no denial on that. Now, your only argument is that I'm saying military law that lower courts are not doing court martials. I stand and agree with you on that. I have no argument. But I'm telling you that the courts in Michigan, the lower courts, the 36th District, 3rd Circuit Court, they all run under military rule. That's why they sit under the flag with fringes on the side. I'm through. Now, what you got to say?
Okay. Well, again, sir, it sounds to me as if you're describing corruption. You're not describing military law and military courts. You're describing corrupt civil courts. There's nothing new in that. We've always had corrupt civil courts, and we always will have some, but it does not mean something because there's an admiralty flag in a court that they are convened in other than the manner in which the Constitution of the United States and their state constitution prescribes. I just do not agree with you, sir. I just don't. I mean,
okay, good.
That an admiralty flag with fringe on it means Article 3 has been negated, and Article 3, by the way, only applies to the Supreme Court and those inferior courts constituted under the authority of the Congress of the United States. That's basically all it does. It doesn't set up anything involving the state courts as long as they comport with the requirements of the United States Constitution and then add on whatever their particular state wants that's not in conflict with the United States Constitution. That's all. I don't understand how this all of a sudden, I just don't agree that all of a sudden this changes any of that. And to your point, when I looked at the show highlights in which you were talking about 14th Amendment citizens, sir, I'm not a 14th Amendment citizen. I am a natural-born citizen. When I was born, not another country in the world had a lawful claim on my allegiance other than the United States. That's why I'm a natural-born citizen. No other country in the world could possibly claim allegiance on me. Both of my parents were citizens. I was born in Cook County, Illinois, and Chicago. Makes me a natural-born citizen, not a 14th Amendment citizen. The 14th Amendment applies to ensure that I, in 2015, get whatever rights and immunities that are conferred upon any other citizen in the state that I live, they also apply to me. Now, if I had been born, say, in 1850 as a slave, and then the 14th Amendment was passed, that would be to ensure that no state in the Confederacy or anywhere else could deny to me the equal immunities and privileges of any citizen living in the state. In essence, it made state citizenship derivative from your federal citizenship, rather than has it been the other way, your state citizenship was derived, or rather your federal citizenship was derived from the fact that you were a citizen of one of the states. The 14th Amendment simply reversed that. But it no longer applies anymore since nobody was born a slave and no one alive today is a citizen on that basis. No one.
Okay. Well, I totally disagree with you. And how can you go around or dismiss the new Constitution of 1871 when it was set up and made it into a corporation? And then I asked you last week to take out your driver's license and look at it and tell me why your name is in all capital letters. You didn't do it, so I figured that you just didn't want to go there. So
I did,
we are a slave. You are a slave. You are a slave, and don't say that you are, unless you are British European. But if you're not a British European, you were, and if you are of color, let's put it that way. If you are of color, you are a subject to the corporation of United States of America, Inc. And they have been at war ever since they established themselves. And you are a slave under that. Now, you can say you are naturalized, all of that, that's well and good. But when they make a move, they said, if you read the 14th Amendment, it says, if you're nationalized or born in the United States. I was not nationalized or born in the United States. I've been in America all of my life. I've never been in the United States. But see, you don't understand the 13 colonies, and all the laws that were set up were only for the 13 colonies, not the continental North America. I am a North America citizen. And they came in with that 14th Amendment, and then they engulfed. They didn't have any citizens or beneficiaries for their corporation, so they just acquiescently engulfed everyone that lived in the America as part of the United States of America, Inc. And that's where you and I disagree. And it sounds like you have no idea what I'm talking about. So we can go to another conversation.
Well, I have a very good idea what you're talking about, sir. I simply reject it as constitutional law. I am fully aware of what you refer to. I reject it, sir. I don't agree with you.
Okay, well, that's fine, Carl. We got a lot of calls on the line.
What does that mean? What does that mean? You reject it. When everything I said, all you got to do is look it up. You don't have to argue with me.
I reject the argument you are making and its applicability to the Constitution. I can't reject the argument. It's going to be there. I'm saying for me,
Beverly,
I reject its applicability to constitutional law.
Yep. All right. Good enough. Have a wonderful day. Get your own show or call another radio station. I'm on my path. I know what I'm talking about. I can back up everything I'm talking about. So go to another caller.
So can I.
Please.
Okay.
So can I. We
got another caller.
Okay. Go ahead.
773-396. 773-396.
Hello.
Yes.
Hello.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can hear you.
Hello, Ron. Hi. Okay.
Hi.
I just want to tap on what Ron had mentioned before. Okay, Ron, this is in regards to the call I made a few weeks ago about the debt and the Department of Justice. Okay. Now, for the card that I did not activate that card. Are you ready for this, Ron? See, I made contact with them.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Go ahead, Ron.
So what was the outcome? What was your latest outcome?
Okay,
I remember.
Sit down.
Yes.
Okay, now, I asked in regards to me not activating a credit card, and I don't intend to activate that credit card. Well, I made contact with them stating that you all called me in regards to some type of debt. They said, yes, do you want to set up some type of payment arrangement? I said, a payment arrangement, that sounds interesting. However, in the meantime, I'd like for someone there to send me information validating the debt. Ron, are you sitting down? Do you know that this bill collector hung up on me?
Yes. 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 Now, question to you. Question. All right, question to you. What state are you in, and what state was the bill collector from?
I don't know what state the bill collector was calling from, but I'm calling from Chicago.
All right, Illinois. Well, next time you get any bill collector, always look and see where they're coming from. If they're not in your state, you can tell them to go fly a kite. The states have laws that they have to be in the state in order to collect debt. Now, in Michigan, it says that they're not allowed to sell debt, or better yet, to buy debt for the purpose of taking someone to court. So that means that when they go to those auctions of all that debt, they buy $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 or more of debt. Then they start with these so-called debt collectors. It's a mom and pop type thing. They just make phone calls and talk to you and try to shake you up.
Right.
Tell you we'll make a deal. If you owe $1,000, send us $500 and we'll make it go away. Well, it's already gone away.
Right.
And then so
right.
You're on target. Always ask them to validate the debt. And you want to see the wet ink. You want to see the wet ink contract where you signed and you did not sign. Or they should have a recording of you calling in to activate the credit card. If they don't have that, you don't know it. Tell them somebody else did it.
Now,
whoever, no matter. I don't care. Yes, go ahead.
Okay, but here's the other keeper in regards to the Department of Justice. Now, I made contact with them because I'm thinking this is big cheese here, the Department of Justice. Well, the litigator who had contacted me, I told him, I said, well, I'm going to send the information that you asked for in regards to all of my expenses. However, in the meantime, sir, can you send me information validating the debt? Okay, ready for this, Ron. He says, what you mean? I says, information validating this debt. How is this debt valid? He says, what you mean? What's your payment arrangement? I says, no, sir. Give me information validating this debt. He says, well, do you owe the government? I asked you, can you validate the debt? They sent you to make contact with me. I'm making contact with you. Give me information validating this debt. Stumbled over his words a couple of times. He says, what do you mean, ma'am? Do you owe the government? I said, sir, information validating the debt. Validate the debt.
Yeah.
How is the debt valid? And I wait a minute. I told him, I said, because the Pope paid off the debt in 2012. He says, the Pope? I says, yeah, the Pope. Now, do I need to send him that letter?
No.
Okay.
No.
Now, no.
What you should have said, wait a minute, the judge would tell you in court, I am not here for you to practice law or for me to practice law. You should have told that chump, since you called me and told me I owe, I'm asking you to validate it. If you don't know what it is, take it to your legal department. Do not call me again until you understand what I'm saying. Have a beautiful day. Bam, hang up. Over with.
Okay.
You're not there to teach him anything. Okay. You talk too much when you said what you said.
And keep in mind too, Ron. He kept asking. He says, well, do you owe? Or trying to get me to say something. Or he says, what do you mean? The payment arrangement? I says, no. Tell me, give me something in writing showing that I owe this.
He was trying your education. He was trying your knowledge.
Yeah.
You did not know what to tell him. I'm telling you now. You need to go to your fair debt collection practice of the state of Illinois. It should be called Illinois Fair Debt Collection Practice Act. That's what it should be called. Every state has one. You need to read that, and it'll tell you about phone calls on idiots like that call in. It's got everything in there you need.
Ron, is this the same when it comes to, again, Ron, the fact that I was working and collected unemployment with this major company being the railroad opposed to some TJ Maxx Marshall debt? You know what I'm saying?
I have no idea. And yes, I have no idea. And if you want to take it any further, you're going to have to email me your new information. I'm aware of you because you wrote me before, and I told you about validation. So let's not go through all of that on the air because we got other callers, okay?
Okay.
Thank you, caller.
Enough. You got it. Yes.
Thank you so much, Beverly. Thank you so much.
Okay. Area code 314-761.
Hey, peace and love. Peace and love.
Peace and love.
I'd like to say to that, I'd like to tell you, not to the previous caller, but the caller before that police guy, I will hope he will go and look for this woman named Dr. Deborah Jones. She's
Yes.
a qualified ex-police officer that will give him full verbatim, and she has apex the process of what you've been addressing, Ron March. So that he's just calling in to be a distraction. And I'll say, if he call in again, man, I hope you'll hang up. But we ain't got time for that shit. I mean, for real.
Right.
We got to move forward.
Yes.
Because all he's doing is just, he ain't even reading. He ain't even following up. Because it's simple.
Yep. He just want to argue and get his point across. So, Bev, let's take that under consideration.
But you know, that's what they do. That's what the corporation do. They send the agents in to distract.
Yep. Well, we don't need. Go ahead, brother.
Go ahead. But I'm just saying, you can already tell he has the intelligence and the capacity to understand what you're saying if he's just going to read it. So if anyone that don't do, not just him, anyone that don't do what they supposed to do, like you get on these people, then, I mean, we just have to move past it, because my son is 7 years old, and he can understand some of these things that I tell him. So there ain't no excuse.
Mm-hmm.
That's how serious this is.
And what I want to say, Bev, when they call in for a question with me, I'll answer them as much as I can. If they keep on, I'll say, Bev, I'm going to ask you to take him off the air.
I got it. I can tell when you're ready for them to go. I'll take them off.
You try to, and then all of that interruption, what was that about? I give him 8 to 10 seconds or whatever it was, and then when I open my mouth, he going to jump in and tell me he don't believe it. Well, wait a minute, I ain't said nothing to you yet. You know, so all of
that's what they do. I mean, that they go by. It's like the rule book. So
when you recognize it, I have no problem with you shutting them off. I don't need to talk to them people. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Well, some people wanted to hear it, but now that we see what the purpose is to distract, we can eliminate
2 weeks in a row. Yes. All right. I got 2 calls, but do you have another call, Bev?
No, go ahead.
I got 2. Let me get this. Area code 804-1249.
Oh, no, Brother March, I'm just listening.
Okay, brother, appreciate it. All right. I got one more, Bev.
Go ahead.
Area code 757-6100.
Okay, hold on a second. Hold on.
Are you there? Area code. Yes, go ahead. Yes. You have a question or comment for me or Beverly D?
Yeah, I'm trying. Okay, yeah, I was going to say, about Sarge calling in. Yeah, I don't know why that guy is even calling into the show if he don't agree.
But that's what the agents do. That's what they do.
Yeah, I know. I was just going to say too that what he was mentioning about the Constitution, like what they do is based on the Constitution. Is just that I don't think he understands what he's reading in the Constitution. The court system, like he said, it is delegated under Article 3, which he said is correct, is under that applies to the Supreme Court, but the lower courts, like he said, was they ordained and established by Congress as they see fit from time to time to do. So Congress deals with administrative law because they're in Washington doing their thing. They establish administrative law, which is what the court system works under, and so that takes them out of a judicial operation. You know what I'm saying? So that's why they don't want you to talk about the Constitution in there, and they're going to lock you up and all that type of thing. I just wanted to add that. But yeah, I appreciate y'all. Love y'all. But that's how that works. But yeah, I also wanted to say too, Ron, I heard you on Hindsight Radio. The show was great. I appreciate you working with the brothers.
I had fun
shouting them out. I love that.
Yes. Yeah. All right. I appreciate you, brother.
Thank you, caller. Thank you for listening.
Yep.
No problem. Peace.
Okay.
Peace.
All right. Now, Bev, I got information on the state of Michigan. Let me get it up here.
Okay.
Because I want to get back to that 14th Amendment citizen, how they just misuse them any way they want because they have a right to do it. That's what hurts. They have a right to do it. So I got it here, and I want to bring it up. It says deadly force. We need to understand deadly force. And let me bring it up. Public self.
What are you reading that from?
I'm going to tell you as soon as I bring it up. And I think I got it now. It says, regarding self-defense, we don't need that individual using deadly force. We don't need that one. What I wanted to do, and I looked it up, and that is, what are the police using in order to get away with pulling that gun out so fast, and what do they fall back on? I told you I looked up Missouri. I looked up Missouri's laws, the revised code in there, and they said they had a right if the suspect, once you make contact and identify yourself, if the suspect tries to get away, you have a right to use force up to and including deadly force. And then I told you that after I read that on the air, that I was told to go back because it was repealed in about 3 years later, and nobody publicized it as being repealed, so the cops have been using it all the time. So I got concerned and went to the Michigan law to see if there was anything similar to using deadly force. And there are some using deadly force. I'll just read a couple of them here for a minute. And I'm reading MCL 780.951. It's called individual using deadly force or force other than deadly force, presumptions and definitions. Section 1. Except as provided in subsection 2, it is rebuttally presumption in a civil or criminal case that an individual who uses deadly force or force other than deadly force under Section 2 of the Self-Defense Act has an honest and reasonable belief that imminent death of sexual assault or great bodily harm to himself or herself or another individual will occur if both of the following apply. You can use deadly force. Now, there's another code that deals with self-defense. But let's just go to A. The individual against whom deadly force or force other than deadly force is used is in the process of breaking and entering a dwelling or business premises or committing home invasion or has broken and entered into dwelling or business premises or committed home invasion and is still present in the dwelling or business premises or is unlawfully attempting to remove another individual from a dwelling, business premises, or occupied vehicle against his or her will. That sounds like a quick kidnap or what have you. That was A. B, the individual using deadly force or force other than deadly force honestly and reasonably believes that the individual is engaged in conduct described in subdivision A, which I just read. Number 2, the presumption set forth in subsection A does not apply if any of the following circumstances exist. The individual against whom deadly force or force other than deadly force is used, including an owner, leasee, or title holder, has a legal right to be in the dwelling, business premises, or vehicle of that, and there is not a injunction for protection from domestic violence, or a written pretrial supervision order, or probate order, or parole order, or not contract against that person. Individual against whom deadly force including an owner. So you can use deadly force in that proceeding. But my point in bringing it up is when we search these rules that they have and some of the things that they do, we can find that there are laws on the books that give these officers the right to use deadly force, and at the same time, they don't tell you or me about the deadly force. Somebody has their microphone open. I think I see it.
That's on your end. Is all your phones down?
These open? That's open?
Yep.
Okay, hold on, Bev. I see the mistake.
All right.
Ooh, that's Bev. Hold on. You still there?
I'm still here. Yes.
Yep. All right, it all should be, I did that. I hit the wrong buttons. There you go. Yep.
Make sure scroll all the way down, make sure they all.
In the blue. Yep. Yep. What I'm saying, Bev, is they write these laws and we don't know anything about them. So we need to study, especially these young guys that get out in the street at night and be around doing certain things, that they should know these laws and be able to protect themselves or at least stay out of the way of these individuals that are carrying guns and they're out to do great bodily harm. There's no other way of looking at it, And here's one here. The individual against whom deadly force or force of deadly other than deadly force is used is the spouse or former spouse of an individual using deadly force. They have all of these laws on the books, and what we need to do is know where they are. Now I'm going to say it again, and this is for individuals. I don't even want to call his name again, but this is for individuals that don't want to face reality. Anytime they go after a black assailant, may he be a crook or whatever he may be, especially black men, their intent is to do great bodily harm or to kill them. Now, when they went after that Peckerwood up in Pennsylvania, who laid in the bushes at night and used a sniper high-powered rifle and killed 2 state police officers, and then took off to live on the land up in the wilderness. Do you know they brought that punk in? They brought that punk in unharmed. Did you know that?
They brought him in what?
They brought him in alive. That's my point.
Right.
They brought him in alive, and they had him hemmed in at a house. Now, why would they do that? He killed 2 police officers in premeditated murder. Now, try to understand that. Now, another black police officer in California, I can't remember his crime, but whatever it was, he took off and went up in the wilderness to hide. When they figured out where he was in this so-called camping or outdoor home of some type, do you know they bombed it with fire bombs and burned him alive inside?
Yeah, I remember that.
So my point is, where do we find these individuals who can't see the forest for the trees? That, I don't know. It just baffles me to hear people run. But then, like you say, they're on a mission. They have been assigned to disrupt.
Exactly.
He's probably been waiting all week for you to come back and call your show so he could come in with that madness.
Yeah,
and
that's what they do.
Yes, and he already said I don't convince him. So why does he come back?
Right.
Why don't he go listen to Fox News or something that would be more to his liking than what's happening here? But anyway, I'm not going to worry about it. I'm going to take a break, Bev, and when I come back, I'm going to tell you what I'm going to deal with.
Okay. And we got a couple of calls, too, so you want to take them when you come back?
Let's do it I hate for them to wait that long. Let's take them before we leave. As soon as you get through with them, we'll take a break.
Okay.
Yes.
Area code 936-933.
Yes. Hello?
Hello.
Yes, we hear you.
Yes.
Okay. Oh, so thank you so much for taking my call. Ron, I just want to encourage you, man. You do have people out here to take what you say serious and do serious study. Man, I went and looked at the Clearfield Doctrine. I also want to know that, man, ever since I've been studying what you say, my brain has been doing some phenomenal stuff. Now, listen to this. We code breakers. That gentleman who say he Sarge, who be calling in, y'all need to go back and listen to Beverly D Show with Professor Phillip, and you will catch Sarge. Professor Phillip is Sarge. Go back and check it out for yourself. So I remember Ron called in when he was on your show before, and he didn't like Ron comments, so he told Ron, "Oh, this is your show." That's that brother right there. So we already know who he is.
Oh, that's who that is.
Everybody needs to do is go back and listen to the show.
And he
on your show. That's Professor Phillip. Yeah, we can't break it out here. You can't get by.
Wait a minute. Wait, you telling me that's Professor Phillip? That's Sarge?
Yeah. I am a voice analyzer. People, when somebody say something to me, I remember their voice. That is Professor Phillip.
Okay.
That's right. So I remember when he did your show. I remember he was on your show and Ron called in.
Yeah.
And he was disagreeing with what Ron was saying. He don't like Ron.
Right.
Wow.
Okay, now, this the last thing. This the last thing, and I'm going to go, okay? Ron had brought up some months ago Popeye the Sailor Man. Oh, y'all, here go the secret right here.
Yeah.
Popeye the Sailor. His name is not Brutus, it's Pluto. That's because they're using the zodiac. Pluto rules Scorpio, Pluto rules Taurus, the throat chakra. And if you go back and look at 1937 Popeye episodes, Olive Oil wearing a turban.
Yes.
Yeah. Who always buying hamburgers say, "I'll pay you Tuesday." That's a code word for Mars. Mars rules Egypt and Cairo. That's what Mars means. So they're dealing with the Moroccan Empire. If you put Popeye down on a piece of paper, you will see the Pope is in there trying to take the people with the pyramid, trying to take the republic. It's democracy. If you look up etymology of democracy, you will see it all there. You'll see what democracy is. Mob rule. Mob.
Oh, wow. Yes.
They're using the zodiac. They're using our ancient science to rule us with the zodiac.
Yes.
Wow.
That's right. They're using the
unbelievable.
Taurus rule money and Scorpio rules the sex organs. That's why if you write down the word taxes and look at it backwards, it says sex act.
Oh my God. You are so right. You are so right.
Yeah, that's right. So Ron, keep doing it, brother. I'm in Texas, and you got a bunch of us out here doing thorough research, brother.
Listen, please email me. I want to stay in touch with you. I got some questions I want to talk to you about. So email me at Ron March Show.
Oh, yes.
At yahoo.com.
And then I was out there in the Eastern Market just last year selling vegetables in the Eastern Market, so I know exactly where y'all are. I will come to Detroit. I'll be there.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. All right, brother.
We taking you serious, Ron. You got some soldiers out here, brother.
Woo!
All right.
I appreciate you, man.
You wrote that down.
Yeah. Keep it up, man. Don't get discouraged, man. Don't get discouraged. There's some haters out there. Haters need to go drink Haterade and let us drink Gatorade.
You are so
like
right.
that.
Thank you, caller. That was really an enlightening caller.
I love y'all. Bye.
Thank you.
All right. That was a good one.
We got 540-720.
Hey, how y'all doing?
Great.
We're good. I'm good.
Great. I wanted to run this past you real quick. I know that you said that I guess you were saying that the police officers have the right to do this and do that. Well,
yes.
I'm up here in D.C., and I read through the Act of 1802 as well as the Act of 1871, and it's on Section 7 of the Act of 1802, which originally established the District of Columbia as a municipal corporation. Under Section 7, it says that the police have the right to prevent and remove nuances, or how would you say it? nuance, or I know I'm not pronouncing it right. Nuisance.
Yeah, nuance is a good word.
Nuance.
Yes. Nuance.
Yeah. So if any of the brothers out there are doing anything that's being a nuisance, then according to that act, the police do have the right to do whatever it is that they want to you. But here's the other thing: in their codes, if you're, it clearly defines what a person is and what an individual is. Or if you don't know what that is, you need to look that up. So if you are doing something that is not considered to be a nuisance, then they don't have the right to do what they do to you. So which means that you have the right to defend yourself.
Yeah, but if he's armed and but if he's armed and you're not, the charge would change from nuance to assault, and now he has a right to defend himself. If you're not armed,
well, that's true. And go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'm not going against you, but I'm just trying to follow you because I want to look up this. What's the name of it? I got Act of 1802.
Act of 1802. It's called the Act to incorporate the inhabitants of the city of
DC?
Washington into the District of Columbia.
Wow. Act of 1802.
Yep.
Give me that.
And the way that they worded it, says it's the act to incorporate the inhabitants of the city of Washington into the District of Columbia. And then it defines the District of Columbia as a municipal corporation. So that means they made those inhabitants. That's why they called them inhabitants, because they were once Virginia and Maryland gave that land to the federal government, the people at that point, they were no longer citizens of Virginia or citizens of Georgetown or Maryland. They were inhabitants. That's what they call them, inhabitants. So when they incorporated them into a corporation called the District of Columbia, which made them all corporate citizens of the District of Columbia, which means they're either an employee or the property of the District of Columbia, the property of a municipal corporation. So they'll never get statehood because they're a corporation established by Congress. It tells you that in that Act of 1802. It tells you they are a corporation created by Congress.
Wow.
And a lot of the District of Columbia, they do not know that. They do not know that they'll never get statehood because they are quote-unquote residents. And if you look up residents, you'll see that res is a thing and ident is short for identity. So they are a thing that is identified to be a property of a corporation, and the corporation is the District of Columbia.
Yes. Well, see, most of everything you just said, it only pertains to the 13th colony. That's what I was trying to get across to that thing we were talking to, Professor Gadget that we were talking to. it only pertains to the 13th colony. Because if you read what you just read, they don't never mention America in 1802. They don't start mentioning America until 1871 when they say of America. I'm looking at it right here. It says United States Statutes at Large, volume this and all of that. And the more you look at anything prior to 1860, they only talk about United States. That's all and that's how they say it, United States. So all those laws, slavery, all of that, there was 200 years of slavery in the United States of white people. That's where those indentured servants come from. All of that was instituted in the United States. Then when they finally tricked everybody and took over, they came up with this bull crap known as United States of America, Inc. And that's when all hell broke loose. And we lost.
Now the United States is the 13th colony.
What they're doing is classifying us as subjects of a government or a corporation is because the people are not aware of it. Once the people become aware of what happened, then it's only then, I believe, that things are going to change. So it's not that we're really slaves. We have been enslaved unknowingly.
Yes.
From the ignorance.
And people like Professor Gadget, Jesse Jackson, and all of the Boulets, they're all agents to keep us from thinking that we're not part of the United States.
Exactly.
And old Gadget, old Captain Gadget that called in, we can't call him a professor, give him Captain. Old Captain Gadget that called in, his job, and he's very educated on the whole process. He knows everything. Let him tell it, and I agree. But his purpose and agenda is to keep us confused and stay away from freedom. That's all it's about. I appreciate you, brother.
You know how you stop that confusion? You bring the facts. And don't argue. To argue with them is I would say is useless. But I wouldn't. Well, it's up to you. It's your show. But I wouldn't even argue with the guy. I'll present the facts and tell him where to go to get it. If he doesn't like it, then hey, that's his opinion. He can do what he want to do. Let's move on. But to argue with him, and again, it's your show, brother. It's your show, brother.
I was trying to stay away from an argument. I think I argued last week. And I tried to stay away from it today. That's why I told him, you talk and I'll talk. But then he wanted to argue because every time I opened my mouth, he'd start to talk.
But see, when they have an agenda like that, it's always, that's what they want. They want the argument because that's a distraction.
Yes, you're totally correct.
The truth will kill that argument.
Yes, it will.
Just state the truth. The truth is the truth ain't going nowhere. And
but see, Ron was telling him the truth. They don't want to hear the truth.
Saying it's true or not, they're gonna have to look up what Ron says and what he says and come to their own truth.
He knows the truth. He knows the truth.
Yes.
He wants to distract so other people won't get the truth. He knows. He's very aware of the truth.
Yep.
All right, well, and I didn't know you. Let's not give him no more time. Let's move on.
That's
right. That's what we said. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, that's
break
move on. But yeah, if go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just saying, let's take a break.
Yeah, I mean, I would suggest everybody look up that Act of 1802, and you can even go to the District of Columbia website.
I read it to you or told you where to find it. But we're talking about the Michigan law on how they create the straw man, which is the 14th Amendment citizen. I got to go back to that. How they do that and not put the mama in jail, or the mama is the one that creates it unknowingly. And it comes from the Michigan MCL 3705.11. And it's called Report of Finding, I can't never pronounce that word, Foundling Child. Report of Foundling Child. Yep. Now, the mama in that recovery room, they start bugging her. I guess they'll do it different times, but she has to sign those stacks of papers. I don't know how many it is, but she signs a stack of papers before she can be released from the hospital. If she don't sign the papers, I'm looking at this, I would think that she could be charged with kidnap if she does not sign the papers. Now, let's take a look at this. Now, did I give you this before, Bev? Are you familiar with this?
Yeah, you talked about it.
Okay. Did I show you? Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was wondering if I had shown you the you can look it up for yourself,
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, I got two, one from the state of Michigan and one from the state of Ohio. All the mothers should look this up. Now, the one I have now is called MCL 333.2825. Put that in, Bev, and see what you come up with.
333 point what?
2825.
Okay. All righty.
Okay. You got it?
I'm getting it.
All right.
Go ahead.
Okay. All right. It says, assuming custody of live-born child of unknown parentage, form, contents, and filing of report, place of birth, report as birth registration, sealing, and opening of report. That sounds like a damn summons and complaint to go to court. Section 2825, number 1, a person who assumes custody of a live-born child of unknown parentage shall report on a form and in a manner prescribed by the state registrar the following information. Now, Bev, think back. I know you didn't read. I know you didn't read what you were signing, because they put all the good stuff up front, such as pay the doctor, pay the hospital, sign to pay the insurance, all of those goodies, and you'll just be signing, and then they'll slide this baby in there, and before you know it, you're actually a fugitive or a convict, really, because it says part 1. A of 1. The date and place of finding the child. Now, you ain't found the child. Finding the child. The sex and approximate birth date of the child. The name and address of the person or institution whom the child is placed for care. So that would be the hospital. The name given to the child by the custody of the child, custodian of the child. All of this seems like an application for a birth certificate. You stop me, babe, if you see something that is not compatible with the mama having a baby or whatever. Other data required by the state registrar. Number 2, the report shall be filed in the manner prescribed by the state register no later than 5 days after the person assumes custody. Number 3, the place where the child is found, there you go, shall be entered as the place of birth. Isn't that tricky?
The place where the child is found. Oh, they found the child. You didn't just birth the child. They found this child abandoned.
They found it. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. The report made under section constitute the birth registration for the child. In other words, they're going to make that into the birth registration, so I would think it would be the certificate of the birth. Number 5, if the child is identified and the birth registration is found or obtained, a report registered under this section shall be sealed and may be opened only by order of a court of competent jurisdiction or as provided by rule. Isn't that something?
So why they seal it?
Well, I know this. Let me say this. If you know about the birth certificates as we are learning, you can do that at that point. And once you get the ownership of the birth certificate, they have to destroy this certificate of registration. They cannot have 2. Now, the mother is entitled to it, but if she don't know and they file the proper paperwork, then they will accept the child. So they seal it because they don't know. I'm guessing. I don't know personally. And when I talk to people, like my daughter was a nurse down here at Sinai. She was in the baby delivery.
Ron March.
Yes. You know?
We are losing you. Say that again.
Okay. I asked my daughter. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, it's a little breaking up, but go ahead.
I'm trying to figure out why is it I didn't do it. I didn't do anything.
Right,
that
we could hear you before break.
Yeah. I haven't did anything to change it. Okay.
Okay.
My daughter works at Sinai Grace down the street here. And,
Mm-hmm.
and I asked her about it. She's out of state right now. And she started laughing. She said, Dad, that's routine. We have a package we give the nurses, and they go in when the mother's feeling well and just have the mama side. Nobody says anything. But when I told her what was going on, she said, I'll be damned. I said, yes. Yes. That's when you give you out away. And she had no idea.
Ron, tell your engineer to kind of look into what's going on because we can't get all of what you're saying.
Just break it up.
I heard when you say you told your daughter, and she had a package together that they give to the mothers.
Yes. Well,
okay, now
all I can say
in a little.
Coming in a little better.
Yeah.
Well, I'm looking, and my engineer's looking. We haven't anything. Maybe the CIA is coming back, or the FBI.
Yeah, because they sure got you coming in and out.
Yes, and this is very important because mothers can stand up and refuse to sign this particular package. But anyway, if they are aware, that's the best thing. Now they can sign it under duress.
Duress.
They can sign it. Yes, they can sign it and reserve their rights. You dig it? That would be something that they need to deal with. But they need to know this, that this is what they do to us, and I don't mean us as black. I mean us as so-called citizens of U.S. Okay? Now, back.
Ron?
Acting Bear 3-3. Yes, I'm say again?
Ron?
Hello?
Hello?
Yes, Bev.
Okay. Go ahead.
Okay, you can hear it?
I can hear you now. You was just going in and out.
All right. I'm sitting at an angle. Maybe this is doing. That's on. This is loud. Can you still hear me clear? Bev?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you.
Oh, all right. Well, what I was saying about they just go in and get signatures and it's over. You know what I mean? So This is some information that mothers need to know because this is the beginning of our demise. Now, I'm not blaming fault. I'm not going against nothing. I'm just saying. Because none of the mothers, even my daughter, she was a registered nurse in charge of the department. She had no idea that this was in there. And I'm going down to see her, and I'm going to see if I can't get an original copy. But she's in Carolina now. I don't know if she can do it, but I'm going to try and get a original copy of this thing to see if what it looked like.
Ron, we lost you again. Ron March? Okay, Ron is having technical difficulties. Let's see what is going on here. Let me see if I can get Ron back. So bear with us for we have another half an hour to go. Hold on, let me see if we can get Ron back here.
Yeah. Beverly was dropped. Okay. I see Beverly D. She was dropped.
Yeah.
Maybe she'll be back. Yep.
Yeah. Problems. Blog Talk.
Yep. Maybe I'll some music. Tell him I'll play some music till she gets back.
Well, he gonna play some music till.
There she is.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Hello, at the back.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. I hear you very clear.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
This time you're not. I have to hear you talk, but that way I can tell if you're going in and out.
Okay. I don't know what's happening, but it looks like.
Okay. What you say, Ron?
Yeah. I think that's Blog Talk that went out because they dropped your call.
No, I hung up
and
called you back.
Oh, okay,
Ron.
that's good. That's back.
Yeah, I called you back to see if we get a better connection.
Okay. I hear you clear as I always have. Now, the problem must be that you cannot hear me.
Yeah, I can't hear you going in and out. Do you have anything open over there? Did you any mics or anything open? Because you just you left us and then you're going in and out.
All right. The only open that I have is you and myself. The only ones. And Chaos checked it before he left. That the only thing open was just you and I.
Oh,
none of my music is open.
Okay.
So I don't really.
The engineer.
Know.
The engineer can't leave. He got to stay all the way through the show.
Yeah, well, you know Chaos.
Okay. Well, we have to deal with it. So we got another 19 minutes. Okay.
Yes. Well, anyway, what I was saying, and all I'm saying is, I see I got a call. I got a caller. Well, that may not be.
Okay.
No, that's not a caller. He told me he was just listening, but I'll check it in a minute. All I was saying was I'm trying to hook up, and I want people to understand the difference between a public citizen and a private citizen. Now, that is the crux of freedom. There's no need of you getting all this paperwork, doing all this research, listening in on shows, if you cannot understand that there is a stark difference between public and private. Because as you move into the private world, it is against the law of Constitution and corporate law to mix private and public. You cannot do it. So you're going to have to understand the difference between the two. And once you get your paperwork, you have established that you are a private citizen. And certain things do not apply. Now, if you are foolish enough to fall into a public contract, then you're not in trouble, but you're back in slavery. That's all. You understand, Beth?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And
so it's like how they say in the bank, you can't commingle your funds there. You know how
correct.
You can have commercial and private funds, or however. So you got to separate them.
Yes. Now you're going into the trust, and the trust is very important to understand it. So everyone out there should be trying to find any type of literature or books and what have you on how to operate a trust.
Okay. Any certain kind of trust?
No. They all are basically the same. Now, they all do different types of stuff, but the basics of the trust are all the same. You got it?
Okay.
Now, I've made a deal with I'm making a deal, or I'm working on a contract. This will be good for you, Bev. I'm working on a contract with Jonah Bay to get permission to put his injunction DVD on my website. With a donation, you can get a copy. And as soon as I get it on there, you have looked at it and listened to it. It's so much information. It's 3 hours and 20 minutes. There's so much
and you're going to have to listen to it more than once, too.
Oh,
There's a lot of information.
Oh, yes. But all of your questions are on that DVD. Now, the way I listen to it, I play it all the way through, and I find out what I'm interested in at that time. Then I go back and put it in the area of. I get a pencil and paper. I write down all the highlights. When he finishes that section, I stop it, go and get my constitutions. Now, I say constitution because Michigan has 4 constitutions: 1835, 1850, 1908 or 9, and 1963. They got 4 different ones. You're going to have to know where to go in those 4 constitutions to get the rulings that you need to put your injunction together, or whatever you may look at that time. There's more on this DVD than injunction. There's a whole lot of information. Foreclosure, debt. Man,
what we're doing is we're becoming, we're leaving from public citizen to private. And so you say the first thing is we got to deal with the birth certificate.
Yes.
And then the second step is the trust.
No.
And conjunction.
No.
What's the second step?
Second step is affidavit of ownership.
Okay, affidavit. Okay.
See, when you get your paperwork back on your completion of your of the completion of your birth certificate, think about it. Nobody knows you got that, but you. So you need to prepare an affidavit from a sworn affidavit from a notary that you own. That's your birth certificate. That's important.
The straw man.
Yes, you own the straw man. Now, you may get away with in your business that you be taken care of. You might be able to just send the affidavit that you are the owner of the birth certificate, but they may say, to hell with that, we don't believe it. So now you're going to have to send them a copy of your birth certificate, of the paperwork.
Okay.
Follow me?
Gotcha.
If you don't do that, you might as well forget the whole process. You have to do the affidavit to let people know that you swear on your word that you have control of your birth certificate. And you definitely want to save the original. I had to take mine because I got the long form. I may tell you this, Bev. If you have the long form of your birth certificate, most printers, home printers, my HP, will not let me run it because I can't detach it from the seals.
Right. Now, the long form, is that the legal size paper?
Yes, and you cannot run the long form by scanning it. You got to send it through your printer. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And you can't send it through And you can't send it through the computer because it's attached to the rest of the paperwork. You do not want to detach it from the paperwork. I can't say it anymore. If you detach it, it's no good. Hello?
And they got it, and they have it attached right on the seal.
Yes. Now, I'm going to ask you, how are you going to make copies of the birth certificate? How are you going to do that?
I don't know. Take it to Kinko's?
Yes. I took mine up. Baby, you are on the ball. You got to take it to a Office Max or one of them. Tell them what your problem is and hold them accountable to hold it back and put that thing down on it and run it. I did mine. I did 6. I did 6 copies in color.
Okay.
And then the other ones are easier because you can turn it. You can turn the one from D.C. up and run the state. You can run 6 copies. Then you can turn it back and run 6 copies of John Kerry. Then you can staple all 3 of them together. Now you got your carbon copies to mail out. You got it?
Gotcha. Yeah. So that's just like when a person die and you get those death certificate, you know how you get all them copies so you can send it to everybody. This is like the same kind of thing.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
A lot of people don't know that. Do you want to elaborate on that? Most people don't know what you're talking about when you say it's almost like that. What do you do with that death certificate? What good is the death certificate when you mail it out? What good is it?
Well, you're putting people on notice, aren't you, to let them know that this person is no longer alive?
Well, you got the right concept, but you got the wrong words. You want people to know that the straw man is dead. The straw man is dead. So we're not going to pay any more bills in the straw man's name.
Okay.
Because when you look at what they call that thing in the cemetery, the cement block, your monument,
tombstone, or your whatever that is, the marking, the grave, whatever.
Yes. Do you know it's in all capital letters?
You know, I hadn't even paid that no attention.
I'm telling you, it's in all capital letters.
But it is. You're right.
Yes,
it is. Yeah.
Yes, it is. So when the person dies, always get extra copies, or at least take the original and run extra copies. And every bill that you can think of, you send it to them with the bill to notify them that the straw man is dead and it's over.
Yeah.
I've known a couple of Christians in my family. When my uncle died, his sister, we're going to pay the bills. The Marches always pay their bills. I said, I must not be a March. I ain't paying a damn thing. And you are out of your mind to pay it. Oh, we're going to pay it. Okay, good. 3 months later, she called me and asked me, Ron, what we supposed to do to not pay? I started laughing. I said, Lord, help my people, help my people.
Yeah.
So
because the funeral homes will give you the original document. They'll give you however many copies you want.
Yes.
For a fee.
Well, you need to. Yes. Well, get one. All you need is one, and then go and run off copies yourself. Okay. Mm-hmm. But it's important. Now, the first step is to get the birth certificate in order. Everything starts happening for you once you get that. Now you're going to do your affidavit. There's an affidavit on my website that you can print out. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to upgrade that affidavit tonight or tomorrow. I'm going to call my webmaster and have them change it. I did something to it. So you need to just run that and run off copies. And every time you go, you can do it any way you want. Take the original and get it notarized, and then run copies off the notary paper. The copy. Put the Goodwin papers up. Those 2 you need to put up somewhere in a safe place. the original birth certificate and the original notarized affidavit. Now, the next step is to put the injunction in order.
Mm-hmm.
And the injunction is very important. I would suggest, and I will put this on my site. The injunction is a preventive injunction. There are 5 different types of injunctions. One of them is called a preventive injunction. That means that you're going to put people on notice not to fool around with you. That's almost like a diplomatic immunity. You're going to put them on notice. Now, hear me clear. When you mail that out to any individual, such as the state of the Attorney General holder, give him one. You can give the president one. Give anybody one. In your state, you want to give the governor, the Attorney General, the Secretary of State. I'm just naming some that I'm going to hit with. You need to give the colonel of whoever that sucker is over the state police. You need to send him a copy. You need to send the sheriff of Wayne County a copy. You need to send the presiding judge of 36 and the presiding judge of the other one, third
Recorder's Court.
Yes, it ain't no Recorder's Court. It's Third Circuit or Murphy's
that's
Hall
what they call that.
Yes,
okay.
Third Circuit or Murphy's Hall of Justice. I think they call it that. But anyway, anywhere you think you're going to have some difficulties, you need to send them a copy of the injunction, the affidavit, and the birth certificate.
Mm.
Yes. Okay. Now, once you get that in place, you're fixing to moving on up to higher grounds. You got to deal with your 98 EIN. That's next. And once you get the 98 EIN, then you're going to set up your trust. Now, they talk about a DBA, but I'm not sure what role that DBA plays and when it makes a play, but I will find out. Because when I do get set up, I'm only going to use my name, Ron March, will disappear from the records. I'm only going to use Elkim, my spiritual name, Elkim Mayat Kayat Bey. That's the only one I'm going to use. And I got to figure out where and how I put that in play. And you do it by going down to second floor of Alexander Young, the county courthouse, the city county building. Go on the second floor of the county side and put a DBA in that Ron March will be doing business as Elkim Mayat Kayat Bey. Then you take it across the hall to the clerk of the county clerk and ask her, no. You got to go and take it and get it notarized. Your DBA, you want to get it notarized first. Then you take it to the county clerk. Take it to the county clerk and ask her to certify the notary. Not your document, just certify the notary. Now you are ready to go to work. But by that time, I'm telling you, you need to be studying everything you can think of in the trust. Because every nickel you spend, the government has to give it back to you. So you got to keep records of everything that you do. And if you don't do it, you're going to be in big trouble. I can tell you that now, especially when you start trying to get money that they owe us.
Okay.
You're going to be in big trouble. So I would advise you, you're living now under pressure of bills. So if you do what I just suggested, you'll get rid of the bills. So stop trying to get $1 trillion so you can take it and give it to Kmart. Damn it. That's when you start getting in trouble. Running down to buy a Cadillac or running down to buy mama a new house, all that old silly crap. You need to forget that. until you learn more about being free. And I ain't going to say that every time. I'm telling you now. Because you get out there with your bull crap, you're going to be in trouble. Somebody going to tell you, well, you know, you can file for this. File a DD 947, and they're going to send you $8,000. All that old silly shit. And there you go. Boom. So you know it's the marshals knocking on your door. I'm telling you that now.
Right. And that's what they're waiting for.
Yes. Waiting for you to be a stupid idiot like they know you're going to be. So you're on your own. I'm telling you that now. Once I get you to a certain point, you're on your own. I'm not going to be caring about you trying to take advantage of everybody and trying to get all this money. There's plenty of money out there. Because everybody's so-called SISQ account is worth, everybody's is over 100 million credit points right now, today. Everybody out there. When you turn 18, it's worth, they predict it to be worth at least 80 to 90 million credit points. So now you can leave out there.
I noticed you said credit points. You didn't say dollars.
No, ain't no money. No money. No money.
Yes.
That's where you get in trouble. That's where you start getting in trouble. You got to know how to create. They want you to promote enterprise, the economy. They don't want you to destroy it.
Right.
You don't have a right to destroy their economy. United States, you don't have a right to do that. And I'm stressing that so that nobody will get confused on a whole lot of bull crap.
Mm-hmm.
Now, before we go, that session we did on Monday with Hindsight of Radio, we talked about that 6331 and 6334. I got about 5 calls today. They said, man, we ain't never heard of that. I said, well, you're looking at it. So that's a package on income tax, and I don't, IRS rather than income tax. And I don't talk about that on the air. I just laid that out for those that were in trouble. They could use that because you have to be a citizen of Washington, D.C. in order to suffer under the clause and the treachery of the IRS. I'll just say that. Won't say any more.
Now, we'll tell them that again so they know to go look it up and read it.
It's called IRC, Internal Revenue Code 6331A and 6334.
Okay.
It will change your life. But
we
remember
got
this.
a caller, Ron. Huh?
Okay, we're off the air, so go ahead and bring them in.
Okay. Well, they can hear us on the phone. The people that's on the phone can still hear us. Area code 860. Yes.
Hello, Ron Marks. How you doing?
Yeah. Hey, now I'm very good. How are you?
Yeah, all right.
Yes.
Tuning pretty late, but my question had to ask if there are going to be amendments. I know people, the tax thing just a week ago. The issue is with even the taxes. I heard even if you could get around it.
He's going in and out. Yeah,
we can't hear you, caller.
Can you hear me?
Speak right into the phone.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm speaking to the phone.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm not sure if anybody could still, if there any person has found that they get around the tax thing, being these amendment citizens. That's my question.
Get around the tax thing. What do you mean tax thing? What is that?
At times you have to pay your taxes every year before the 15th of April. And ironically, April 15th, that's when President Lincoln was, I think, assassinated.
Yeah, I think so. I saw that somewhere. Yeah. But let me just say this. If you got your birth certificate in order, you'll know that your income tax and all of your debt is in all capital letters. But if you got your birth certificate in order, they're not talking to you. They're talking to your straw man. So you don't want to fool with the IRS at all if you don't have your birth certificate in order. Because they're not going to tolerate no hanky-panky, no bullcrap, because their job is to get that money from you. So if you haven't done anything on the birth certificate, I advise you to pay your taxes. I know you don't want to hear it, but I can only tell you what I believe. Okay. I believe you need to pay. And you need, at the same time, you need to start. Go to my website. Go at the top where it says blog.
What is the name of your Ron, what's the name of your website?
RonMarch.com.
All right.
RonMarch.com. Go there. Go across the top. Find blog. Tap it. When it opens up, go down and start reading. It's 4 articles. Read everything. And I'm telling people, don't call me about the birth certificate if you have not read my website. I'm not going to sit up here and wrestle with you and talk to you about birth certificate and you haven't even read. You don't know nothing about it. I don't have time for that. Do you understand, young man? You must be gone.
Okay, yeah.
Yep. All right, Beth.
So, okay, Ron, interesting, enlightening as always.